Curiosity is simple, but most people ignore it. Richard Feynman treated it like a daily habit. It begins when you pay honest attention. You do not rush or pretend to know. You look closely at what is in front of you. Real learning begins when you stop acting as if you understand and start asking what something actually means. When you slow down and notice details, your mind wakes up. You begin to see small things you missed before. You are not trying to be clever. You are just being honest with what you see and what you do not see. Clear thinking starts here. Curiosity begins with attention and observation. Curiosity fades when thinking becomes passive. You move through your day on autopilot and assume you already know how things work. You stop looking closely. This kind of false comfort kills learning. When you tell yourself that you already understand something, your mind shuts the door. You do not test ideas or look for mistakes. You stop asking what is really going on. Repeated patterns become habits. When you repeat the same thoughts and actions without reflection, they feel normal, even if they are wrong or shallow. You feel safe, but you are no longer curious. You begin to use shortcuts. You rely on labels instead of real understanding. You hear a word and think you know the thing. Lazy thinking is the real enemy of curiosity. Curiosity fades when the mind accepts ideas without checking them. Curiosity grows when you ask simple questions and expect clear answers. Simple questions cut through fake understanding. Feynman often went back to basic questions and did not feel ashamed to ask what others thought was obvious. If you cannot explain something in plain words, you probably do not understand it. Simple questions force the mind to face the core idea. You cannot hide behind big words. You must find a clear line of thought. You see where your picture is solid and where it is vague. You notice how clean ideas feel different from confused ones. Your curiosity becomes stronger because you see the value of simple, honest questions. Simple questions build clarity and protect curiosity. Curiosity and honest doubt work together. Doubt is not a problem when it is used well. Feynman believed that real knowledge includes uncertainty. He did not pretend to know more than he did and was comfortable saying he did not know. This did not make him weak. It made his thinking clean. When you allow doubt, you leave space for new facts and better models. Honest doubt means you test your own ideas. You do not worship them. You look for what could be wrong. You notice when something does not fit the evidence. You do not cling to a belief just because it feels nice or familiar. This kind of doubt guides curiosity. It pushes you to look deeper, to run checks, and to compare ideas with reality. You stop fearing being wrong and start using error as information. Honest doubt keeps the mind open to learning. Curiosity grows when you work with ideas, not when you just look at them. Passive reading is weak. You move your eyes over words, but the ideas do not sink in. Feynman stressed active learning. He would take a concept and try to explain it in simple terms, as if speaking to a beginner. This exposes gaps and shows where your understanding is thin. When you explain an idea in your own words, your brain must reorganize it. You connect parts and check links. You feel where something is missing. This makes you curious again, because you now see what you do not fully grasp. Active learning can be writing, speaking, drawing a diagram, or teaching someone else. What matters is that you do something with the idea. Curiosity grows through active learning, not passive reading. Clear language supports clear thought. Clear thought supports curiosity. Feynman often used simple words to cut through complex talk. Fancy language can hide confusion. When you use big terms without a solid picture in your mind, you only repeat sounds. When you force yourself to speak simply, you must decide what the idea actually is. You remove extra decoration and state what happens, what causes what, and how parts connect. You are no longer juggling vague phrases. You hold a clean model. As you do this, you notice gaps. Instead of feeling ashamed, you let this spark curiosity. The gap becomes a direction for deeper study. Simple language makes these gaps visible. Clear language exposes gaps and strengthens curiosity. Curiosity becomes strong when it is tied to evidence. Evidence is what the world actually does, not what you hope it does. Nature is the final judge of any idea. You can love a theory, but if experiments disagree, the theory must change. This keeps curiosity honest. You are not just building stories in your head. You are checking them against reality. When you compare ideas with real data, you see when your picture works and when it fails. Each failure is a chance to refine your understanding. This is empirical reasoning in simple form. Have an idea, test it, and adjust. You learn to value truth over comfort. Curiosity that follows evidence becomes steady and reliable. It does not drift into fantasy. It grows deeper because it is built on real checks. Evidence protects curiosity from becoming belief without understanding. Curiosity stays alive when learning never stops. The brain changes with use. When you learn new things, your brain forms and strengthens connections. Learning is a lifelong activity, not something that ends after school. You can treat learning the same way. When you keep exposing your mind to new ideas, skills, and fields, you train it to stay flexible. You start to feel more comfortable with not knowing yet. This comfort matters. It lets you enter new areas without fear. Continuous learning becomes a rhythm. You read, you think, you test, you adjust. Curiosity is both the cause and the result. You learn because you are curious. You become more curious because you learn. Curiosity becomes stronger when learning continues throughout life. Curiosity is not only for science labs or complex theories. It is useful in daily thought. It can guide simple decisions. You can start by noticing how often you accept ideas without checking them. You hear a claim, see a post, or repeat a belief you grew up with. If you slow down and ask what it really means and what supports it, you begin to think more clearly. Curiosity also helps you solve everyday problems. You look at a situation and ask what is causing the result. You try small changes and watch what happens. You notice patterns instead of guessing. You stop treating problems as fixed walls and start seeing them as systems you can understand. You become aware of how you think and aware of what you do not know. Curiosity improves clear thinking in daily life. A curious mindset does not appear by chance. It is built through simple habits. You can ask, observe, explain, and test. Turn these steps into daily practice. Ask basic questions about things you normally ignore. Observe them with care. Try to explain them in plain words, as if to someone new. Test your explanation against facts, feedback, or further reading. When you repeat this cycle, it becomes natural. You stop taking ideas at face value. You check them. You do not rush to strong opinions. You build them slowly, with evidence and clear language. Instead of training your body with physical routines, you train your thinking with mental routines. It changes how you relate to information, people, and problems. You become calmer with uncertainty and more exact with words. A curious mindset is not about being clever. It is about being honest, active, and open in your thinking. Curiosity becomes a mindset when it is practiced daily. Curiosity and clear thinking are life skills. They are not just study tools. Feynman used curiosity to explore physics, but also to understand people, institutions, and himself. Clear thinking protects you from being misled by others and by your own wishes. When you train yourself to think clearly, you get better at seeing what is real. You notice weak arguments, empty claims, and vague promises. You see when someone uses big words without solid content. You also see when your own beliefs rest on habit instead of facts. This awareness may feel uncomfortable, but it leads to better choices. Over time, curiosity and clear thought help you grow. You gain knowledge that is stable. You make decisions that fit reality, not fantasy. You stay open to change because learning is never finished. Curiosity and clear thinking support lifelong growth. Curiosity is not a small trait. It is a core skill that shapes how your mind works. When you stay curious, you do not freeze your ideas. You let them move and improve. You keep checking, learning, and refining. A curious mind can deal with complex ideas while still speaking in simple words. This is real strength. It is the strength of clarity. Being curious does not make you uncertain in a weak way. It makes you precise. You know what you know and what you do not know. You can move forward on solid ground and still be ready to update your view. A curious mind is awake, flexible, and honest. It is able to grow for a lifetime. Curiosity is a core skill that strengthens the mind.